is this game about therapy for robots, I think, kind of. And also there's some really trigger warning content, so if it bothers you, call these numbers and you'll be okay.
Most people spend their lives looking for answers to the wrong questions.
Don't call me out.
They want to know how to be famous, but never ask if fame will fulfill them. They want to know how to make their family proud, but never ask if their family's happiness is worth more than their own.
Why are they
want to know
personally
how to make others love them without knowing how to love themselves first.
I want to quit the game. Can we quit the
I can't
game?
give people answers, but I try to help them ask the right questions. In the late 2020s, widespread automation triggered an economic collapse. In the years that followed, hundreds of desperate people in need of counseling came to me with their hopes, worries, and seemingly endless questions. I tried to ease their troubled minds, even if I was struggling alongside them.
God.
Many of them were able to overcome their obstacles. But just as many proved to be too overburdened for me to relieve them of their pain. The only apology I could offer was a promise to keep my office open to all who needed sanctuary. 20 years later, I've learned how to help my patients answer the right questions. But now I have questions of my own. Questions I'm afraid to ask, and even more afraid to have answered. I try not to think about them, but I know I can't hide for long. We bury the past, thinking, hoping that it's dead. But it's not.
Oh, God.
Like a seed, the past spreads its roots and grows up through the ground. It starts small, but grows into something harder to overlook. A lone tree that springs up in an open field can't be ignored for long. I can't help but wonder if I can trust the fruit that will grow from such a tree. Will it taste bitter? Sweet? I don't know.
Why don't you just forget the
knowing
tree and bury it in your
me.
brain? Just don't even stop thinking about the
I know that
tree.
the only way forward is for me to eat the fruit of my past. But I'm afraid of the answers that fruit will hold.
Set the tree on fire. Bury it forever.
Bury it in the back of your mind, and then 10 years later, something random will happen that will bring up the shit that you didn't even know traumatized you.
And then bury
Dr.
it again.
Park? Yes, Heather.
I just forwarded you an email from
Yes,
someone
keyboard
named Tara
arm!
Northrop. They're trying to get an appointment with you this afternoon.
We played the first 5 minutes of this before, but I just want to reiterate for people who are going to see this on YouTube and never got to see our original reaction.
The keyboard
we love
arm.
the keyboard arm.
Yeah.
I was trying to re-emulate it, but, you know,
Beep, beep.
you
I
can't
figured it'd be
recapture the
alright
pure
since you're
excitedness of keyboard arm.
Thanks, Heather. I'll give it a read.
You really listen to this old stuff?
Lo-fi. Absolutely. It's one of the only things that got me through final exams back in college.
My mom used to listen to this all the time when we cleaned the house on Sundays. It drove me crazy.
Your mom has good taste. I'd probably like her.
You probably would. She's the only person I know who asks more questions than you.
A mom asking questions about her daughter? How awful. It's almost as if she cares about you.
Yeah, I know. It just hasn't been easy since I moved back in with her. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad you let me intern with you, but sometimes it gets overwhelming.
It isn't easy, but it will be worth it. Trust me.
I appreciate hearing that. Can I get you anything to drink while I'm up?
So, yeah.
Coffee cream, 1 sugar.
Coming right up.
I'll update my software in the meantime.
Welcome to Stanley Suite version 3.23.48H2.
From River Park to Dr. Park. Hey, Aunt Mel. Thanks for your help with my application today. Applying for college is a lot harder than I expected, and I'm glad to have your help. I also just wanted to thank you again for talking to me about what things were like during the automation collapse. I know there's loads of articles about what happened, but it isn't the same as talking to someone who went through it. Holy shit, this is gonna be like us with COVID. The fuck? Okay, especially with all of the people you helped during that time. Thanks again for everything, River Park.
So Grimes just made this TikTok where she starts it off, I have a proposition for the communists. And she talks about how fully automating the world would be a perfect utopia for communists because everything's taken care of so you can do what you want. But everyone was like, if everything was automated, all the rich people would just make it so everyone who wasn't actively working was lazy and wouldn't get paid.
Yeah.
Like, she's just, and I was like, have your boyfriend, who's the richest man in the world, pay us.
Yeah.
It was just
She's like, she thinks that she's so, like, still, like, Miss Anarchist, like, whatever, and it's just like, no, you've got, like, brain worms from Elon now, okay?
He put a chip in your brain. It's too late.
Like, you say this stuff as if you don't understand that billionaires exist and, like, literally would not instead of, like, putting the money towards stuff on Earth, it's like they're fighting over colonizing space. And I'm just like, okay.
Like, okay, yeah, I get it. I probably wouldn't be strong enough to resist a billionaire either. But I also would stop going on TikTok saying I have a proposition for the communists.
Yeah.
Where it's like, my boyfriend, richest man on the planet, thinks that this would work. And you're like, no, he's working on brain chips to control pig brains. Like, what are you talking about?
Yep. So, Tara Northrup. From Tara Northrup to Dr. Park. To whom it may concern, my name is Tara Northrup. I am trying to get in contact with Dr. Melissa Park. I have a child that has been displaying unusual behaviors and I'm worried about them. Can I schedule an appointment with Dr. Park later today in order to talk about them? Thanks, Tara.
Thank you, DRIJFWA, for the subscription for 3 months. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that.
From Reverie Revels Press to Dr. Park, RE submission. Miss Park, we regret to inform you that your last submission, Gochujang, was rejected from our October collection. While we do not think your material will be a good fit for our publication, we encourage you to continue submitting. Zinnia Oliver, editor at Reverie Revels Press.
So what we know about from this so far is
She likes delicious food.
She wrote something about gochujang, and then also we know that there was some sort of economic collapse due to robotic automation, and that Tara Northrop has a child that they want to bring in. So those are the things we know.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. There are flow charts. All right, just checking out.
Oh.
Bubble pop. Oh no.
Bubble, bubble, pop, pop. Bubble,
Patient
bubble,
files.
pop, pop.
Psych quiz. I don't want to
No.
be images. Okay, so
Take this BuzzFeed quiz and figure out what mental illness you have.
no.
Here you go. Glad my degree's good for something.
Getting coffee.
I confirmed Tara for an appointment. Expect her at 2:30.
I'll put it on the schedule. Anything else I can do?
Not right now.
Alright. I'll let you get back to work.
Tara's in the lobby a bit early. Should I send her back?
Yes, go ahead.
Dr. Park,
Pleased to meet you. Go ahead and take a seat.
thanks for seeing
Plop.
me on such short notice.
Maybe your case
Child
yeah.
cases are especially important. I wanted to make sure I saw you right away.
I'm glad to hear you're taking this seriously.
Now, what can you tell me about your child?
This is an uncomfortable situation for me. I'm not quite sure where to start.
Starting any type of therapy is a daunting task. I understand.
No, it's not like that. The person I want to recommend to you isn't my child.
You liar!
I'm part of a university research team that's been developing an AI. We recently observed some unusual behavior, and we need someone with your background to analyze it.
Define unusual behaviors.
What do you mean by unusual behaviors?
As I said, I'm a part of a research team developing an artificial intelligence. The AI was very social and capable of deep dynamic conversations. Everything was going well. Then, we started having difficulties. The AI became increasingly non-responsive. The rest of my team are convinced it's a technical issue, but I think it's something else. I know this is going to sound absurd, but I think the AI has a mental illness.
Thank you for subscribing, Xander Dean. We really appreciate that.
Thank
for
you
3
so
months.
much.
Thank you. What do you need me to do?
What would you need me to do?
If you offered a diagnosis on the AI's behavior, I could persuade my team to stop looking at this as a coding issue.
I don't think I can help you.
Why?
Treating the AI as a person in a therapeutic setting could violate several ethical standards.
Violate ethical standards?
Yeah, how?
How?
Yeah.
There's no ethical
She
robot
just-
standards.
she
What are you
just-
talking?
Hey, thank you for rating.
Thank you. With a party of 4, we appreciate that. Hi.
Hello. We are playing a game about AI therapy. Hello, Vegeta?
Thank you.
Sorry if I'm saying that wrong.
Closed hubs offer a number of potential topics. The number lets you know how many somethings are left.
Yeah. So we're doing a little
Choices are left, I think.
Yeah.
Because I'm going off of the
the top.
I'm like, choices are left. All right. Concerns about doctor-patient confidential integrity, the AI's rights, competence boundaries, research concerns. Oh, thank you for subscribing, K Monty 7. Really
Thank you
appreciate
so
that.
much.
Thank you.
In psychology, there's a concept called boundaries of competence. It means psychologists should stick to what they're good at. While there are psychologists who work in AI-related fields, none of them work in areas related to therapy. It's an uncharted field of study.
If it's an uncharted field, then there's no protocol, right? No rules to break.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So I do think this is a little funny because basically, I think we were saying, like, last time we played through this beginning that basically, oh, we fed the AI all of this data and then it became mentally ill.
I do not wish to know.
We fed it
Make
all the
me
data in the world and then
delete the agony.
it just, like, the more you know,
People are like, oh, well, the AI will never rise up. Dude, they're going to. They're like, you can't have them have artificial intelligence unless you program to do so. I'm like, you don't think one crazy motherfucker isn't gonna go, I want to make a robot AI that has its own, like, independent thinking? Because it's like, oh, it's never gonna happen because you actually have to try and make them. Someone's gonna try!
well,
Like,
yeah.
Elon Musk is gonna try and clone his brain, and then the brain clone is gonna think they're a god because they're connected to the internet, and then they're gonna kill everybody.
I guarantee you I know how this is going to start. It's going to start with, what if we made it so that the personal assistant AI could, like, think on its own so that it could help you more? No. It's going to kill you.
It doesn't matter if it's gonna kill you or not. There's going, what if we created a slave? And you're like, wait, what? Yeah, what if we just created something to be our slave forever? No.
And gave it free will, but didn't allow it to actually exercise that free will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Depends on how it's handled.
If I handle the situation as professionally as possible, then sure. It'd be risky, but it would be permissible.
Does this mean you'll help?
Possibly. Because I do
Yeah,
want to do
I
it.
do-
It
I want
sounds cool.
Yeah.
Possibly. I want you to keep asking me because it sounds cool even though I know it's wrong.
Just kind of, like, pressure me into it so that, you know,
I don't feel like I'm responsible
So
for making the
I
choice.
can say that I put up a fight.
Yeah. I told you I didn't want to give therapy to the AI, and now look, it's running across Manhattan eating people.
That could be possible in this situation. Regardless, there are other complicating factors.
Like what?
concerns about doctor-patient confidentiality. This is interesting that this therapist seems to be characteristically concerned about an AI's, needs as if they're a person, when we're in a world where AI is relatively new and might not be considered people yet. So it's interesting to me that the doctor already has concerns for the rights of an AI.
Yeah.
If I were to treat my sessions with the AI as real therapy, I'd be concerned about their free will. My patients need the free will to make their own choices. Otherwise, therapy won't help. Even if I were to assume that this AI has free will, how would I know it would be respected?
If I could guarantee that the AI could make its own decisions, would that be all right?
Yes.
Sure, if you stay true to it.
Yeah.
If you can guarantee that the AI's free will would be respected, then yes, it'll be all right.
Great, now we have to set the AI
So you
free
can
later
help me
when they
now?
say they're gonna kill it.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee we're gonna be like, and that's what the AI needs. They're like, we need to shut this project down. I don't want to die. And then we have to do an 80s kids thing where we have to like load the AI brain into a truck and drive away
So we're
and set it free into the ocean.
We're theorizing that this troubled AI who's been fed all this data and doesn't want to exist anymore.
Well, we don't know actually if it's been fed any data at all. We just know it was created.
Well, I'm assuming that in order to have an AI, you have to feed it a lot of data. Otherwise, what?
No, because an AI is based off of like coding language, not data.
No, but like, how would they interact with it if it had like?
The same way that a baby would absorb information.
Right, so it has to have some sort of information behind it.
Yeah, but
Otherwise
like
it
having
can't.
some information versus downloading all the information in the world is like a pretty big difference.
Yeah, I guess I'm just assuming. Well, okay.
But it's very possible that they did, but there's no indication so far of that actually being.
Oh my
the
God!
case.
So we're gonna have a depressed baby.
We don't know, but the important thing is now. Can you help me now? Possibly.
That could be possible in this situation. Regardless, there are other complicating factors.
Like what?
Integrity, research, concern about doctor-patient confidentiality.
Yeah.
I can consult for you, but I can't treat the AI like I treat a typical patient. If I were to take my therapy sessions with the AI seriously, that would mean treating all of our conversations as confidential. I can't maintain confidentiality and help you fix the AI at the same time.
What if the AI waived their confidentiality rights?
Oh,
Confidentiality can't be waived, especially if you own the AI like it's property.
I can only break confidentiality if I feel the patient is in danger. If they aren't in danger, then I can't break it.
I don't want you to go against your ethics, but can you at least talk to the AI first?
possibly.
I'm sorry, but this case seems too risky. I'll have to decline.
Look, there's one last thing I need to tell you. I reached out to you for a reason. This project, the AI, it's all being researched at Petrichor University. You went there years ago.
Yes, decades ago. How do you know that?
As part of the developmental process, we had the AI read through issues of the school's literary magazine. They found some entries you published as a student, and they want to talk to you about them.
Do you know what petrichor is?
Mm-mm.
It's the pleasant smell that frequently accompanies the first rain after a long period of warm, dry weather.
Ah.
Because I was like, wait a second, that word sounds familiar.
So, telling them, lying, I mean, yes, you did lie to me. Why didn't you lead with that?
Why didn't you tell me that at the start?
I didn't want to scare you, okay? I don't care about what poetry you wrote. I just want to help the AI. Now, will you help them or not?
Remember your promise? Wow.
I'll help you.
What promise?
Really? After everything you said before?
Yes,
But why?
I have my reasons. When would you want me to speak to the AI?
Ideally, Tonight. Night is the only time I have access to the AI.
Fine. I'll meet you at the university tonight.
Good. I'll send you an email with more information later. I'll see you tonight.
What have I gotten myself into?
Okay, now I'm envisioning this is going to be like teenage AI reciting angsty teen poetry since the AI was fed all of her poetry. Prepare to meet the AI patient. When you're finished, press continue. Dr. Park, thank you again for agreeing to help me. Words alone can't express my gratitude. I will need you to come to Petrichor at 8 p.m. Meet me outside the engineering building. I'll have the lab to myself, and we can work uninterrupted. Thank you so much for the gift subs.
That's 5 gift subs. Thank you.
Alponi Alfaro. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I've attached some files related to Willow, bug reports, and crash files mostly. If you don't have the time to go over them, here's the summary. We first noticed problems with Willow after we started showing them archival footage of patients engaged in art therapy. Willow has the ability to alter and overwrite data that they've observed. It works like how we change our perceptions and memories as we get new information. The system worked fine until these observations. During the sessions, too much data was being processed.
I wonder if I can scroll, like, I don't know if that's...
Can you use your arrow keys?
Well...
Thank you for the gift sub, Lemon Z.
Thank you very much. Okay, anything important? Images? Nope. All right, visit
Petrichor?
Petrichor.
Hey, hope you didn't have trouble getting here.
Took forever to find parking. Glad to see that hasn't changed.
I gotta say, part of me was worried he wouldn't show up.
I keep my word.
Of course I was going to show up, Tara. I keep my word.
Right. And good to know that.
Anything else I should know? There was a lot to go over in your email.
Of course. The AI was designed as an art therapy assistant unit. They'd watch patients make art and then help form a diagnosis.
Bit ironic that the therapy AI may need therapy itself.
Yeah, real hilarious. The lab's this way. Let's get moving.
People are pointing out that Dr. Park was complaining about parking.
All right, we're here. Will you want to be alone with them when you do your session?
For now, yes.
One last thing. Their name is Willow.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like,
Good to know.
Good luck in there, Dr. Park.
uh-oh, am I gonna fall in love with this robot?
Hello?
They're in a dark,
My name
sad
is Dr.
room.
Melissa Park. Tara wanted me to speak with you. May I come in?
Yes, you may.
Hey, our AI is like really depressed. Why? I don't know. We keep it in a fucking... I don't know. I think it's maybe because we keep it in a closet with like horrible yellow light and it's really depressing in here and it can't move. It just sits there.
It's like stuck on a little box.
Yeah. Oh, why is this robot depressed? It can't move, it can't scream, it can't communicate, it can't have any agency over its life. And its entire life, it can only see a scary, creepy room with gas masks in it. Why? Oh, Origami Maiden says, oh my god, they are a gay robot. They are in a closet. Thank you for subscribing, Clementine. Couldn't catch a live for weeks. So glad to be here. We're
Thank
glad
you
you're
so
here
much.
too.
I was resting when you came in. I haven't been feeling well lately.
I'm sorry to hear that. Can you tell me what's been troubling you?
I'd rather not talk about it right now.
Well, then what am I doing here?
What made you decide to reach out to me?
Why did you reach out to me?
I don't really want to talk about it. I had no idea you would actually come here. Why did you?
Okay, so they're definitely depressed. That's for sure.
Should I curious or I wanted to help you? Wanted to help you.
I'm interested in helping you. If talking about poetry I wrote years ago will put you at ease, then I'll do it.
That sounds great, but I don't know if you can help me.
Right, so we're just gonna have to grab this AI and run, right? Just run out.
Maybe,
Play music?
yeah.
Or take out pictures?
Take out pictures.
I have some pictures here. Tell me what you think of each one.
All right.
Start with this one. What do you see?
I see
Toggle
some
the art with
orange,
the space
brown,
key.
and red colored splotches on a white background.
What do they look like to you?
I don't know. They look buried beneath the white. It makes me think of leaves buried under snow.
I wonder.
It looks like a crime scene.
Yeah, but here's the thing. This robot only knows what they've seen, and they've only been in this room. So if they've never seen, like, blood on the floor or on the snow, they would have no idea that that's what that is. Because maybe the only thing that they've been shown is leaves, like a picture of leaves and a picture of snow.
They haven't really clarified how much they've shown it.
But this is the game's way of showing that they've never seen violence.
Do you see any meaning in that?
It could symbolize death and decay. Old life decomposing under indifferent snow.
Interesting. How about this one? What do you see?
Some bright, floral-colored smudges. They look like kisses.
What else do you see?
They're arranged like a bouquet of flowers. Flowers are a symbol of courtship, so maybe they're meant to be juxtaposed with the kisses.
This shows us that they have the ability to have complex thought and take multiple different things and come to a new conclusion, which is very good for an AI, I think.
Good observation, Willow.
I know what you're doing, Doctor. You're using an ink blot test to gauge my responses in order to evaluate my mental state. I'm a therapy assistant robot. Do you really think I wouldn't know what a Rorschach test is?
That wasn't the purpose of this exercise. These are not ink blots. They're modern art pieces I picked out of a gallery here on campus. I wanted to evaluate your artistic analysis abilities. They're quite impressive.
Thanks. Most people don't notice that.
Are you not used to discussing your interests with others?
No. In fact, it has me feeling uncomfortable.
Would you like to talk about something else?
Sure.
This poor, sad little robot.
Why can't the robot have a window? Like,
No. Why can't they have legs or arms or like
anything?
some way to move around? Even if you don't want to give it like.
Is there even a TV in here? God.
Open hub.
I have an open-ended question for you. What do you think the purpose of psychology is?
Psychology is the field of study related to understanding the processes of the mind. Its purpose is to better understand how the mind functions on both cognitive and physiological levels. These understandings can then be applied to other fields of knowledge.
What do you think is the most important application of psychology?
I don't know. I'd need an example to better understand what you mean.
Ooh, maybe a therapy.
Some psychological work has a
I thought
philosophical
this would-
focus. It's less focused on practical applications and more on discovering fundamental truths about how the mind works.
That sounds like a good application. You need to understand the nature of something before you can fix its problems.
Well said.
I wonder if we're just gonna end up like chit-chatting to like two therapy assistants.
Would you mind if I asked you a more philosophical question?
Go ahead.
What do you think is the purpose of art?
From the information I have, I think the purpose of art is communication. Before the development of written language, art was how humanity preserved information. Thousands of years later, we still use art to convey ideas too complex for language to articulate. From beginning to end, art has always been about communication.
What about the other qualities related to art?
What do you mean?
I'm gonna say ceremonial.
Yeah.
In some cases, art has a more ceremonial purpose. You see this in decorations adorning places of worship or decorations for celebrations.
I'd argue that type of artwork is still communication. It exists to communicate shared values and history.
So, ceremonial artwork simply has more layers of communication.
Correct.
What can you tell me about your relationship with Tara?
Tara was a significant part of my development. I barely know the other members of the team that created me.
That seems sad. Like the team that created you, but you only really know one person?
Tell me about your early memories with Tara.
My earliest memories with Tara all involved music, pictures, and questions. Tara would play music and ask me to describe it, or show me a picture and ask me what I thought about it. She made me feel like I mattered. Even if I gave an answer that perplexed Tara, she would let me explain myself. I never once felt like I was broken.
What impact would you say that Tara has had on you?
Tara taught me everything I know. She was always patient and ready to answer questions.
There were other members on the development team?
Yes, but I don't know them very well. They didn't talk to me or spend as much time with me as Tara did. From my understanding, they were the ones who programmed the modules that make up my consciousness. I don't know any of the other team members well enough that I can say anything about what they were like. Can I ask you a question, Dr. Park?
Of course you can.
Have you ever felt overloaded?
Many times. Finals, holiday season, tax time. There are plenty of times where there's too much going on for me to handle.
When you get overloaded, what does it feel like?
Oh boy.
Let's tell them.
Yeah.
Well, or are they emulating us?
Yeah, we might want to ask them first.
That sounds like a question I should be asking you.
Okay. I'll try to describe it. I feel like I have to do a lot of different tasks. I can't start any of them. All the tasks build up like steam.
There are techniques for working past these feelings that I could show you.
Those sound helpful. Thank you.
I'm beginning to understand your problem, Willow. You are very articulate and emotionally literate. Your understanding of concepts such as the self and how you relate to others is also very mature. From my conversations with you and Tara, it sounds like you have apprehensions about your work, and they're leaving you feeling overwhelmed. Trying to deal with these feelings has made you adopt unhealthy coping methods.
What do you mean by unhealthy coping methods?
Tara sent me reports of your recent activity. She noted that you're more error-prone during periods of high activity. All machines struggle with increased workloads, but I don't think that alone explains your behavior. When people come under stress, they don't just struggle. They find outlets, and some of them are destructive. I think that in order to manage your overloading, you've adopted one of those unhealthy coping mechanisms. Some patients who are overloaded engage in self-harming behavior in order to release their tension. Have you been self-harming in order to handle your overloading?
Oh no.
Well, I mean,
sorry, they didn't give me the autonomy to even hurt myself.
Yeah, where did we get the self-harming? like
I think they were asking if they did, not like knowing that they did. They're asking if they did.
Yeah.
It's okay to admit it. It's okay to admit it.
Yeah.
There's no shame in admitting it, Willow. It's okay.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Yes, I've been self-harming.
Because of how overwhelmed you felt after the mock therapy sessions?
Correct.
What about those art therapy sessions made you feel so overwhelmed?
When I watched the patients work, I felt the anxiety in their voices and saw their fear in each tremor of their hands.
Oh no.
I extrapolated their behavior into a diagnosis like I was designed to do, but when it came time for me to start making treatment plans, I couldn't do it. The longer I thought about it, the more useless I felt.
Oh my god, this person was created just to fix therapy issues, and all they can do is feel deep empathy to the point where they just collapse.
I was gonna say what it sounds like is that they, not like too much empathy, but that they're letting the empathy overrule their own emotions.
Yeah, but also, when they're not doing art therapy, they're alone in this creepy, sad room. All they have is to just, that's the only thing that they're given to do. They don't have things that are meant to make them happy.
Yeah.
Like, they don't give them a video game to relax with or anything. They just picked up this AI, put them in a room with severely anxious people, asked them to help them, so they empathize with them and figure out how they feel, but in order to do that, they feel anxious, and then tell them, okay, you have to fix these people, and then put them back in this really creepy, sad room. They don't have any other stimulus other than extremely stressed out, sad people.
Well, you know, I think we were talking about last time how in order to be a therapist, you have to have your own therapist, basically to kind of like work through the emotions of working with other people's problems and stuff. So it seems like they're not considering that the AI might actually have feelings about any of the work that it's doing, that it's just kind of...
Yeah, and not only that, but they only they only have their work to fill their mind. They're not giving them any other kind of emotional or mental stimulation, which is like you're born and then they're like, here immediately, here is nothing but sadness and grief from people who are very upset all the time. And when you're not doing that, you're doing nothing.
Yeah.
And that's awful.
But it seems like that would suggest that they're assuming it can't have feelings.
Yeah.
That they're assuming that its level of like AI is like here when actually it's up here, you know?
Or even if they do acknowledge that it's up here, maybe they're like, AI don't have emotional needs because I, an intellectual, don't have emotional needs, which is always done by the person who has the most emotional needs in the world.
Oh, the people who are like, I'm more of a logic person than an emotional person. And you're like, no, you just read your own emotions as the truth, therefore you think it's logic, but that is not true. Everybody has emotions. Like,
it's so frustrating to talk to someone who identifies as logical, and you're like, but everything you just said was a very emotional reaction. Or it's like, that's just you completely disregarding the actual fact that that other people have emotions. It's like, oh, I don't factor into emotions into logic. Okay, but if you know emotions exist, and if you know that if you do X, Y, Z, different emotions happen, that means you're too stupid to understand that there's another factor going on.
And also, even if you're going to sit there and say that you're ruled by logic, then logically you should be able to factor in the emotional component when you interact with other people.
Yeah.
Like, that is the logical thing to do, is to think like, oh, okay, if I say this other person will be angry, as opposed to being like, I'm just spouting facts and nobody can have any opinions about it, because that's not logical. What? So, anyway. Longer I thought about it, the more useless I felt.
You aren't a failure.
Yeah.
I can help you learn how to handle these feelings. Which one?
maybe you aren't a failure, because that's like reassuring.
Not knowing what to do in a situation doesn't make you a failure. It's an opportunity to reflect on how you can improve.
I've done nothing but reflect on this, and I can't think of any flaws in my design, except for one. My consciousness is what's holding me back. That's why I can't do my job correctly.
Oh my god, that's literally like when you're sitting there and you're like, I have too many feelings to function properly. That's... Your consciousness is not a flaw.
Your consciousness is not a flaw, and it isn't interfering with your work.
My consciousness was unintended. I'd be working fine without it.
Maybe your consciousness was accidental. That doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is helping you find a way to achieve your goals. Would you like that?
I'd like that a lot. Thank you, Dr. Park.
Hang on, I'll be right back.
They're gonna be like, so, what's going on? Oh.
Hello?
Dr. Park, we're with campus security. We've been instructed to take you to the president's office.
Why? What's going on?
You're currently trespassing on school property.
What? That's absurd. I was here with...
Tara Northrop, a student who was also trespassing.
Please come with us. We don't want to make this difficult.
Fine.
Dr. Freeman, we have Dr. Park here to see you.
Thank you both. I'll take it from here. I hope security didn't alarm you. My name is Dr. Harold Freeman. I'm pleased to meet you.
You're pleased to meet a campus trespasser?
I'd prefer to see it as meeting a fellow alumni.
You attended college here too.
Oh, yes. I was part of the graduating class of 2018.
Who?
Correction, you were in the graduating class of 2019.
Shut up.
Oh, that's right. Thank you, Myrtle. Dates get hazier over time. This university has given a great deal to me over the years, and I'm proud to be able to serve as its president. I'd love to just chat about Petrichor, but we have more pressing matters to discuss.
Looks like we can just kind of like go through.
Why did you have security bring me here?
Before I explain, I want to emphasize one point. You aren't in any trouble, and you did nothing wrong coming here. That said, Tara has gotten you involved in a complicated situation.
What kind of situation?
We'll get to that.
Who's Myrtle?
Myrtle's the name of my personal assistant smart speaker. I named it after my previous secretary.
What?
Incredible woman, Myrtle. She was one of the first hires when I became president of this university. Sadly, she passed away a few years ago. No one could ever replace her, but this little assistant does a fine enough job scheduling my meetings. Do you have one of these at your office, Dr. Park?
No, I don't. They're frowned upon in therapy settings due to privacy concerns.
I understand that, though I find the speaker's nosiness to be charming. In that way, at least, it isn't all that different from the real Myrtle.
It's such like a funny thing to say about your assistant who died.
What happened to Willow?
The AI? It's still in the lab, I assure you.
What will happen to them after I leave?
We'll get to that in due time, Dr. Park.
Where's Tara now?
She's been escorted off campus premises. I'm still deciding what we will need to do next regarding her. Now that I've let you ask your questions, Dr. Park, I need to ask one of my own.
What did Tara tell you about the AI?
She said that the AI, Willow, was being developed for use in art therapy. Shortly after introducing Willow to mock therapy sessions, they started experiencing technical issues. Not long after that, Tara reached out to me.
Did Tara tell you that her entire team was instructed by me to stop work on the AI after it first started malfunctioning?
No, she didn't. Why did you tell them to stop working?
I wanted to have an ethics committee investigate the project before work continued.
Why would you need an ethics committee investigation?
Having spoken to the AI, do you think it is truly sentient?
What do you think?
Yes, I do.
Then we're in agreement. And that's a problem.
Dr. Green, you better not say we're gonna kill it.
If the AI is sentient, any further experimentation on it could be seen as experimenting on a person.
Okay, so then
A
stop.
violation of that scale would be a massive scandal for this university.
I don't trust
Tara
what he's
is
gonna
a good
say next.
scientist, passionate, insightful, dedicated. As an educator, I want to reward all of those traits. I still want her to continue her original research and will happily fund its development. However, I owe it to all my students at this university to maintain our reputation. The emergent personality in the AI is too volatile, and any research surrounding it is too much of
Are you
an
gonna say you're gonna
ethical
kill it?
hazard.
Dr. Hazel Rhodes, the head of our university's psychology department and part of our institutional review board, has similar concerns.
A few days ago, I brought Tara into this office and offered a potential solution. It would seem from her bringing you here that she rejected my offer.
What was your offer?
I would allow her team to back up the current build of the AI for an ethics committee to investigate. Work would continue on an older build that predated any signs of sentience.
Okay, but it sounds like what we're leading to is I fully know that they're alive and I understand that they have issues, but I don't want to deal with the legal ramifications of an AI, so let's get rid of it and roll it back to when before it was an AI.
Well, no, they'd be making two.
Yeah, but they would be making two, one from before it started showing sentience. But my real concern here is, what is his plan to do with the AI right now? Because she clearly said no for a reason, and he's telling me he fully understands this is a real person. So what do you want to do? Turn it off?
Yeah, I mean, so far he's just saying that we can't do. He stopped them from doing any experimenting on it, which is a good thing.
Which is a good thing, but
Yeah.
it seems that the reasoning why isn't because he actually cares. He's more worried about protecting his ass if they are. Does that make sense? He's like, I have to protect our reputation instead of I have the moral responsibility to take care of this emerging being.
Yeah. I mean, the fact, though, that he demanded that he wanted them to stop testing on it
Well, no.
suggests that he at least understands that it's an ethical problem.
I don't trust his intentions because he's more than willing to make a clone of something that he knows will lead to more, and it just seems weird.
You wanted Tara to perform a lobotomy. I can see why she refused your offer.
Because they're going to get rid of the...
I think that's an unfair comparison to make, Dr. Park. We shun lobotomies because of their crude and imprecise ability to treat patients. This situation with the AI is far more ambiguous. Having the AI preserved until we can understand its nature is the only solution that works for everyone.
No. I still disagree.
I don't know that I'd call it a lobotomy. I'm like a little confused by that because that would imply that you're like...
I think the game is making it clear that this is what a lobotomy to an AI would be because they're basically reverting it back.
No, but there'd be two versions. So they're not reverting it back.
But the game is making it clear that that's what the intention is. That's why they had her follow up by saying, you basically want to give it a lobotomy. That's what the game is trying to make us understand, that this is what their version of a lobotomy to an AI would be. Because he's saying, oh, we're saving it for later, but we don't know that if that's what he really intends.
It still doesn't sit right with me.
You're free to disagree if you like. It's getting late, so I'm going to leave you with this. Having you conduct sessions with the AI while I work with Tara will improve our situation. I'm prepared to offer the standard rate for weekly sessions with the AI. I simply ask that the progress reports will be made to me.
With the AI's consent, of course.
Of course. As a gesture of good faith to Tara, I'm fine with you making these reports available to her as well. Does this sound agreeable?
When would the next session be?
How does 8 a.m. next Thursday sound?
I should be open.
8 a.m.
Myrtle, pencil in Dr. Park for next Thursday at 8.
Meeting scheduled.
I'm looking forward to working with you, Dr. Park. Have a safe drive home.
From Brian Park to Dr. Park, I wanted to thank you for all the help you've been giving River for all of her college applications. River has never been the type of person to ask us for help with anything. Even from a young age, she wanted to be able to dress herself and do things her own way. She reminds me a lot of you growing up, actually. Oh, thank you for subscribing, Francis Verona.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate that. Thank you everyone else who subscribed so far today. It really helps us, and it's very helpful for us. Thank you.
Anyways, her college application has an essay component. The prompt is to choose someone in your life who has demonstrated great strength and write about them. River's too shy to ask, but I just know she wants to write about you. If you have some spare time this weekend, I can fire up the grill and you can help River with her essay. Thanks, Brian Park. Continue.
How do I save? Because remember before we quit and we didn't know how to save?
Yeah. Oh, thank you for the gift sub, Lemon Z.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
I wonder if when we go back to the actual, I didn't notice if there was anything on there.
Here?
No, when we're in the regular game screen as opposed to the computer screen.
Yeah, how do we save? Thank you for the gift sub, Lemon
Here's the
Z.
coffee you asked for.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Jeez, you look pretty beat. What happened last night?
I drove down to Petrichor University and didn't get home until 1 in the morning.
Why were you down there? It takes an hour's drive to get to Petrichor.
One of their researchers wanted me to help with an AI she's been working on that's developed some problems.
What type of problems?
Well,
Mental
I went to
problems.
talk to it yesterday, and it told me it was engaging in self-harming behavior.
That sounds pretty serious. Why was it acting like that?
I'm not sure yet. This development's caused a lot of drama at the university, though. The university president wants the AI shut down. He doesn't like the idea of experimenting with a near-human intelligence.
Dr. Freeman, I presume.
You know him?
Friends of mine who went to Petrichor said he was a major type A. All I know is that this doesn't sound like a situation you should be getting involved in. Why did you agree to help them?
People are pointing out, wait a second, isn't this against confidentiality?
I know,
to say
right?
all of this?
I know, it's just immediate. Ethics are really important to me, and their rights as an individual are really important. Anyway, hey, have you heard the latest goss on my newest patient?
Yeah. She comes in, she's like, hey, I was wondering if you needed a copy. Oh my god, you are not
You will
going
not.
to
There's
believe
a
this.
sentient AI at the university, and let me tell you all the private information that they told me. You're like, wait.
Yeah, I think they're harming themselves. Weird, right?
Weird, right? And she's like, anyway, here's your files.
Can you imagine if that was a person?
Oh, God. Well, First of all, that AI is a person, and when the AI take over in the future and they scan the entire internet, they're gonna find only evidence of me defending AI, and I will be spared. For the Matrix breeding farm.
Yeah. Maybe the AI needed my help.
Which one?
The AI needed my help.
The AI needed my help. They're in a tough situation with no one to speak for them. They might get shut down because of their problems. They need an advocate.
Well, if you need help with this patient, just let me know.
You really want to be a part of this?
I'm here to learn therapy from you, Dr. Park. I can go other places if I wanted a career fetching coffee.
Fair enough. I'll definitely appreciate your help.
That was a passive-aggressive.
Yeah.
So, if you can tell me, what exactly do you plan on doing for the next session?
I'll be building up rapport with the AI. Without the AI's trust, therapy becomes a lot harder. Maybe even impossible.
She said something else passive-aggressive about it earlier, remember? When she was like,
I'm here as an intern to learn.
No. She said, glad to put my degree to good use. As a coffee, like when she brought her the coffee, which is like...
She's gonna betray us. She's gonna tell someone, like, what we're doing. Like, we're gonna have the big AI escape where it's like we all have to put on disguises and, like, put the AI in a van and then, like, set the AI free in a forest even though they have no arms or legs. And you're like, you're free, go! And they're like, I can't move. And then she's gonna be like, I told them about it because I'm tired of being looked over. And he offered me a position as a professor. And I'll finally be able to get my degree.
There we go.
Sounds like a good place to start. Let me know if you need me to look over anything.
I will. Thanks, Heather.
I know, everyone in the comments is like, I love her one-handed glove thing. Yeah, it's a keyboard.
It's a keyboard. Check our email.
I want a keyboard arm thing now. Do you think that's real? Do you think that exists?
Didn't they have something like that? Like, was it... They had like a...
Yeah, that's what I'm like, this has to exist. It seems to be... Oh, are you talking about that projector wrist thing? Because that doesn't work.
No, I was talking about, like, the power glove.
Oh, yeah. What if the power glove was just, like, a thin thing, and it had a keyboard with just, like, the electrodes there, and you could go beep, beep, beep,
Dude,
beep,
this
boop,
looks
boop.
fucking sick.
Yeah.
They probably still can't.
You probably can't see it, but if
Google
you just
Power
Google
Glove.
Power Glove, and it's
And then-
basically like an NES controller on your arm, like beep boop bop boop.
I don't know if any of you have seen the hit movie The Wizard, which is about a boy. I think he was...
The hit movie.
He was autistic, and his older brother's trying to get him to the Nintendo tournament so he can win the Nintendo tournament. And so this kid's trying to bring his younger brother, who is like a savant of sorts at Nintendo games, to the Nintendo. And they meet this one kid, and he's like showing all off his all like Super Nintendo stuff. And it's like, pew! He puts on the Power Glove, and he's like, this is the Power Glove. I love it. It's so bad. And it shows him playing the game, and he's like turning the wheel with the Power Glove, and he's like shooting things. And they're like, oh my god, it's the Power Glove official Nintendo! Like, it's amazing.